mention of some potential FIBCEPTION, so a play on words there with inception and fib retracements on today's move so far as of the 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time hour on this Friday, October 21st. So the mention I had put to words on Discord, I was trying to also put it to a visualization. So I'm going to do that here just quickly for you guys that trade actively throughout the day. Most of the time, broadly speaking, and down to lower time frames, I have the 1 minute on here because price is fractal in nature. And what that basically means, fractal meaning patterns and movements are seen on all time frames because price is fractal. The definition of fractal, just to be superior to what I just said, let's see. Yeah, so snowflake is a good example. That's the most common used example. But fractals are useful in modeling structures in which similar patterns reoccur at progressively smaller scales and in describing partly random or chaotic phenomena such as crystal growth, so on and so forth. But you can apply that to the way price trades. And here is just a good example of doing that on the 1 minute time frame for today's action so far today. So if we take today's low, which was this morning, the very first minute candle of the day, which really signaled the potential for a push higher, to where price ultimately stopped. So obviously this is in hindsight. This initial fib is in hindsight. We do not know where price is going to pull back. Obviously there are other ways and maybe another fib from a higher time frame to determine that. But for the sake of just doing this, I'm going to just now assume that we know where price thwarted at today's high. So I have added that here. So this puts the 0.5, 0.618, which is commonly known as the golden zone, the golden fib retracement zone, in this range for price to potentially bounce. So we can see here at 1036, price pulled all the way back down and did in fact bounce here. So from that point, we're going to, from that point, we're going to take a fib from the high of the day to that bounce point, where you'll see another series of 0.5, 0.618, which is right here where my cursor is. And you can see price bounced to that spot directly at the 0.5, and that is where price rejected. So that is another tradable, or there were two trades within that, right? You could have traded this bounce to the upside to this 0.5 on a scalp. Today is Friday, so if you're trading zero date to expiration, that's 366 to 368.5. That's probably 100% move, if not more. If you're, depending on how far out of the money you went, if you went with the 369, so it's probably went 2-3x. So and then at that point you can prepare to take that trade off or most of it off, because obviously there is that potential that the 0.5, 0.618 is cleared. Assuming it did that, then price had the opportunity to go ahead and retest the morning high. Obviously it didn't do that. We know that in hindsight. You can see prices being live here as well. From there, you take the trade off or not if you're just following this for the sake of this, and we have another move lower. So we'll take that fib off, and then from that point, we'll pop on. We'll do price pulled back. Now, ultimately, before I jump ahead, price pulled back ultimately again to the 0.618. Undercut the initial low from the 1030 low about a half hour later, but still held. These are loose ranges. It still held that spot, correct? So what we can do is we can take it from where this price was just thwarted on that 0.5 that I mentioned, and we can go to this now new swing low, and you can see right here as I do that. Let me just for the sake remove the broader daily. But look at where price is rejecting right now live as I speak. It's now rejecting within that same zone, that 0.5, 0.618 bounce from just this move right here. So, and all while this is doing that, you can see SPY is beginning to build out what seems to be a little bit of a wedge here. So structurally, we have a pattern developing as well, but all of the moves within the pattern are exemplified right here in this video as just various moves of fib retracements, right? So now we're seeing a really harsh flush. Price is moving lower as I'm talking. We have a wedge building out, so we'll extend that just in case price does want to go lower. And what we'll do from here is we'll now make see, did I just have... Nope. So now here's the 618 from this recent move. So price needs to pretty much hold this 366.40 spot, which it's trying to put in a long-legged candle here to bounce higher. If it loses that spot, it's probably going to test the bottom of the wedge. That's what price would tell us. Now, be mindful that this is the 1 minute chart. So price seems to be moving a lot very quickly because we are looking at just about as narrow of a time frame as it gets. I don't know anyone that pays attention to under a minute, and I really don't even know if any platform offers under a minute. And obviously you would need to be reviewing or watching an extremely liquid stock or ETF in order to even capture 1 minute moves. So now we'll see right here as I'm talking if price can hold this 0.618, which it is as of now, from this low to this high. And obviously, as I just mentioned, I just went over, we're just right now working through a series of fib retracement moves. If it can hold this and it can now bust through, here is where we need to potentially to put back on different fibs. So if we take the fib from, let's see, what did I have? This fib. Was it this fib? Yeah. So here we go. So now price is, here we go. Now we're getting a breakout. So now price is busting through this 0.618 from this retracement that I went over a minute ago that price rejected at, but held this one. Now if it continues to clear this, we should see a push higher to at least 368.46, which is the top of this retracement. We'll see if that plays out. We're in a very tricky market, but this is a buy signal on the 1 minute time frame here. A little bit of volume came in too, above average volume on that candle. So price should now, as I'm sitting here and talking, come close to testing this 360. Oh, that's not a horizontal line. You'd imagine price is going to come at least near that 368.40 spot. We'll see if it does, but this is what you're trading. And here we go. It could be also getting a false move. This could be a completely false move, especially right now, it being Friday, it being OPEX. The potential for false moves heightens as market makers attempt to really frustrate both sides of trading today. And then at the same time, we're in a really volatile spot in the market, right? The VIX is elevated above 30, and we're in what is a bear market. So there are a lot of dynamics developing that can produce false moves. And again, this is the 1 minute time frame, so that in itself is going to produce more false moves than say the 5 minute would, and then say the 15-minute would. Obviously, as we broaden our time frame, the more conviction we can have on specific moves. But we'll see right here if price wants to go ahead and confirm this breakout or if it wants to reject. Probably going to speed this up for the sake of just doing that, or for the sake of you not having to watch all of this. We'll see. We're flagging here on the 1 minute, beginning to flag. Oop, breaking down potentially. We'll see. Still holding it. So let me just, for the sake of this, wanted to make sure we don't lose sight. This is what it's trying to clear right now. It's trying to clear that 1618 from this swing low, or excuse me, this swing high to this swing low. And right now it looks like we're getting a rejection there. So this is potentially a failed move, which would be a short signal. Yep, this is a short signal now. But obviously, I'm getting a little hasty. We want to see this confirm a little bit more before we just automatically flip short, because right now we're just getting a retest of this structure break. But if we go ahead and get a move below this now, because now we're rejecting this 1618, that would be a short signal in itself, ultimately getting below this 618 that we just bounced off of. Now that is a lot of mentions of various different fibs within this, so you may have to watch this once or twice and obviously apply it to your own charting and your own experiences. And obviously I'm going to need to get better at articulating this. This is the first time I've really ever tried to put this to words. So let's see. Right now we're getting a retest. This is why the 1 minute time frame is really tricky to trade off of because of all of the fluctuation in moves. And I don't typically trade off the one. I'm just doing this for the sake of being able to exemplify what is occurring here in a better way, because we're getting so much variance in 1 minute candles right now in the market. And obviously I just popped on the 8 and the 21 EMA. Those are other things you can use to track at least trends, to get an idea of what is trending and what is not on any time frame. I use them on all time frames. Here they're pretty tight together, so there's really no trend, but here we go. So now, me being a little bit hasty was good that I recognized that, and I said, okay, this is still could just be a retest. This is fine. And here we go. We're going to test 368, and ultimately I still think that 368.40 test is possible. And let's remind ourselves what that is, and that is just basically the 0.5, 0.618 from today's high to this recent low that price is now trying to bounce off of. And what you can just, as you're watching this, you can just see if there are other patterns building. And we may be building out some sort of bear flag here, because this is a downtrend, at least today, from today's low or today's high to where we are right now. So that could be a potential bear flag that's building out, something you have to watch. And I mean, that would be confluent with, if this is in fact that, a test of this area up here would be a favorable R&R short, right? We go ahead and test this 368.40, which is confluent with the middle of this fib zone that I talked about. It's also this high, which looks to be a sensitive area in general. And then that would be confluent with the potential top of what is a bear flag. So right here is favorable R&R short. Price breaks above, it's a quick stop out. If price works in your favor, it's a really good trade to the downside potentially. Price can then test the bottom of the flag, and then if it loses the flag, awesome. And here we go. And just to remind, and as we're seeing this, none of this is necessarily definitive. And what I mean by none of this is these levels on these fib retracements are not concrete to the penny, so to speak. Don't expect them to follow to the penny. Don't expect yourself to ever buy at the low or sell at the high. Everything is a loose range. We do not know exactly where price is going to go. Like right here, for example, it doesn't look like price wanted to even get exactly to that 0.5 and to this series of high at that 368.40. It stopped just above 368. 368.08 was the high, and now we're pulling back. So now we'll see, as this builds out, how it wants to do, or how it wants to basically develop. And for the sake of just the video, I'm going to go ahead and pretty much pause it here. But I hope this helped, and I hope kind of just maybe get your brain churning in different ways to use fibs throughout the day, and how you can literally just all day trade moves, swing highs and swing low moves, as we're working through this very volatile environment. With just contracts in both directions, right? You can trade if you're trading SPY, you can trade 0 DTE or 1 DTE pretty much at any point during the week. Monday has an expiration, Wednesday has an expiration, and then Friday has an expiration. So there are ways to capture really big moves in trades, assuming you are getting direction correct, through various ways of doing that. This being one of the ways, really the main way that I do it. Though I do try and stay away from 0 DTE, I prefer to go to that. If we're trading on Monday, I prefer to trade Wednesday's strike. If we're trading Wednesday, I prefer to trade Friday's strike. That does not mean I don't trade 0 DTE. It's just it is an ultimate reminder that they are very risky. So I have a very it's a hard no DTE rule, but it's broken a lot, and especially on Friday. But even on Friday, there are times where I will trade Monday's expiration, just to give maybe a trade a little bit more time. But if conviction is heightened, obviously, you can certainly get away with being a bit riskier in terms of theta and trading those 0 DTE. Let's see. I wanted to see if this is going to go ahead and finish this build out to that 368.40 like we initially mentioned here. Um, as I talk, looks like we might. Yeah, here we go. So here's a 368.20 test, 368.24. Now we're testing the top of the flag again, and here we go. This was our ultimate target, right? From when this candle broke here, we had a retest here. Now we're testing that fib retracement zone right now in between. Potentially breaking this flag, breaking this flag. Obviously, this is a 1 minute chart, so we got a 1 minute close above. So this is now through 368.40, and now we're really moving higher here. So this is a pretty big move. But now look, this is that. So if we took from this high to this low, so this is the intraday low. It's not the low of the day because the low of the day was set this morning. This is the intraday low. Here is the 0.618. Price is testing it right now. And if it clears, it all but pretty much says that there is a very good chance the price goes ahead and tests the existing high of the day and maybe creates a new one at that point. We'll see. So we'll let these next few candles play out to see if we get a rejection here at this 0.618 or if price does in fact clear it. This would be an interesting spot. This could be a spot where they trap some longs here, especially on Friday, today being OPEX. They may want to trap some people on this move higher above this high through this potential structure of a flag, but with everyone potentially forgetting about this 0.618. So we'll see. They could push this lower. Bit of a hanging man there. Obviously, this is just the 1 minute. So right here, favorable R&R short, right? If we're thinking trade right here, you're thinking about putting on a put for today's expiration, maybe the 368 put, and you're stopping out at this high. So we would either be stopped out quick, or the trade's going to work really well. So and obviously inversely, you can put on a trade long if it breaks the high. Obviously, again, this is the 1 minute chart, so do not forget that in terms of the potential for fake moves. If we're trading the 5 minute here with all of these candles displaying all of this, you'd obviously have more conviction on moves. But here, if we took a trade short, right now it's still working until we get a break of the high. That would probably be where I stop myself out. And then at that point, like I said, you can flip long. That's why it's important to just be positioned small. You're just trying to trade maybe one to a few contracts at a time, trying to catch these moves if you're doing it systematically like this. And here we go. So we're breaking that high, so I would be stopped out of that short. And we'll see now if they push this higher. You could flip long here with a similar rationale of having a stop here just below at 368.56. Because this is now a bust of the 0.618, at least for now. Again, 1 minute candles, potential for more fake moves like we're maybe getting here after this move. Whether we break down or break up, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I hope this helped. If there's any questions I can ask, please do not hesitate. It looks like maybe we're getting a false move here. Nope. I always have to remind myself when I'm paying attention to 1 minute candles. As I've done through this the series of this video several times, just how volatile they are and how important it is to just be very mindful that you're paying attention to a 1 minute chart and not a 5 minute chart, not a daily chart, and so on and so forth. Especially me being rooted as a swing trader, trading these lower time frames does not come as natural to me. Just my personality and just how I am as a person. And again, because we're not buying a lot of contracts, there is potential for you to take trades on and off and attempt to try and trade both ways. Right here, we're getting a little bit of a chop. It looks like they're trying to there's some uncertainty here. I mean, if we're looking at a 5 minute, it looks like maybe a fail. But if we look at a 5 minute candle, yeah, we have a bit of an inside doji at the very top of this 5 minute. So this is an indecisive candle, which is now beginning to break down. So this initial short that I was stopped out on, obviously, maybe I should have been a bit looser with that stop that I had just placed, just for the sake of the video. I did not actually take a live trade here. Or you can abide to that stop you had and be really tight and just put the trade back on, right? You can always put a trade back on. So here we're rejecting the 0.618. So you'd probably want to be back in that trade, assuming price can lose this potential structure here. And here we go. So this is now beginning to be another 0.618 rejection from a separate swing high to low. And this has provided a pretty good scalp here. I mean, this is almost a 50-cent move, and I'd imagine that this is going to at least go a little bit lower based off of where price closed on this candle. I close at the lows of any candle, whether it is a 1 minute candle or a weekly candle, almost all but guarantees the following candle, so the succeeding candle, is going to create a new low. Obviously, there are certainly, you may be thinking, yeah, there are many examples. Like if you look at last Friday's candle to Monday's candle, where that is not the case. But more often than not, it is the case. So, and here we go. This is a good rejection here. So that swing short at the 368 puts that I would have been stopped out on, but hopefully you're being quick and maybe you put the trade back on, or maybe you had a looser stop than me. Those are now beginning to work really well, and they're almost in the money as we reject here at yet another 36 or another 0.618 fib retracement. I hope this helped, guys. Have a great weekend.